Welcome to TideSports.com's weekly recruiting report. I am Chris Ratty, and with me, as always, Scout.com's Andrew Bone. How are you, man?
And I'm doing great.
It's great to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and football season's here, so it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. We're going to run through a similar format that we've sort of developed to talk about a pair of recent commits, then talk about a couple of those big names still on the board that Alabama is potentially looking at, and we'll wrap it up with looking to that future again, that 2011, then maybe touching some high school games, some big ones to look at. So, no further ado, last night, Alabama picked up yet another tight end, big one, Harrison Jones, 6'4", 225-pound tight end out of Evangel Christian
High School in Cordova, Tennessee.
Just outside of Memphis.
Just outside of Memphis,
It's a family affair for the Jones, correct?
That's right. His brother, of course, is Barrett Jones, who's playing right guard here at the University of Alabama right now. His father, Rex Jones, played basketball here at Alabama. So yeah, it's definitely a family affair, and I know Harrison's very excited about being a commitment to the University of Alabama. The number 21 commitment of the 2010 class, 19th high school commitment of the class. And Alabama kind of started out really wanting to pick up two tight ends in this recruiting class. They didn't get any in last year's class, so the main emphasis this year was getting a couple of tight ends, and of course they got Brian Vogler about a month ago out of Georgia, and then Harrison Jones was another guy that they've targeted for a long time. Picked up an offer from Alabama back in February, and has always kind of been leaning towards Alabama. Has been down to Tuscaloosa several times, since February, and even before February, had come down for several games over the last few years. And he had visited some schools, had visited Oklahoma, had visited North Carolina. Those schools had offered him, as well as several other schools like Vanderbilt and Stanford. He had really a great deal of offers, and in the end ended up choosing Alabama. Had texted me about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon telling me that he was ready to announce his decision, and he sent me the commitment story last night about 10 o'clock, said that just to hold it right until midnight and then release it, let everybody know where he was going, and said that just the family atmosphere down in Tuscaloosa, his brother being down there, the chance to possibly play for a national championship and be around a great coaching staff, really sold him to the University of Alabama, so that's why he committed.
Well, we actually have Harrison Jones' head coach, Jim Hines, on the line with us, joining us again, another coach, which is fantastic. So, Coach, why don't you talk about Harrison Jones as a player on the field and off?
Okay. As a player, of course, I think he's got great physical size to certainly be an excellent football player. Certainly with that 6'4" frame and 225 to 230 pounds, I think that gives him a great ability to play the game. He has good speed. Can catch the ball, so he's able to be that tight end that certainly I'm looking for, and certainly the next level is looking for, and everything. But the biggest thing I'd say about him is his character and his attitude, and you don't have any problems out of him. He's a great student. He makes straight A's, and so those things as a coach you're always pleased with, And I think I'll be perfectly frank. I think that. I think his best football is going to be ahead of him. As he gets toward college, we're certainly looking for a big year out of him this year. But I do know that as he gets to that level where more coaching goes on, as far as a tight ends coach or a receiver coach that's right there with him, that he's going to learn more about the game. So I think he's going to make an excellent college player at the next level.
Coach, I know you've also coached Harrison Jones' older brother, Barrett Jones, in high school. He's down at the University of Alabama now. Talk about Barrett Jones a little bit, and do you keep in touch with him?
Oh, I do keep up with Barrett. And I understand he's having a great fall practice, and we'll see how it lines up for him as far as where he is on that, as far as playing where he plays at Alabama. I think they moved him to right guard, but I just keep up as far. I always ask about him. I don't sit and call him every day and say, how you doing, Barrett? But when he gets home, he comes by to see us, and that's always exciting. So, and generally I'm speaking to his dad or speaking to one of his brothers about how he's doing. So we keep up with him pretty regularly.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us on the recruiting report. Let's move right into another recruit that's got some update, which is some good news on the classroom side, and that is Dion Ballou, a 6', 185-pound cornerback from Deschler High School in Tuscumbia, Alabama. 3-star cornerback on Scout.com.
Yeah, definitely a guy that could probably rise up the ranks. He's a guy that I had right outside my top 10 that I think that possibly be in the top 5 by the end of the season. Special athlete, can just do it all over the field. And one of the main reasons he was right outside that top 10 was because he had some a little bit of class work that he needed to make up. That had a great summer. Took a world history class that he didn't do so hot in back his freshman year in high school. Made an A in it this year. Said that right now he is on track to graduate. He's already made a 17 on his ACT. Still going to take that ACT again. Hopefully bump that up a couple points. But everything's looking good for Dion. And he's an Alabama commitment. Had a couple offers. Alabama, Auburn had both offered him. And he's a special player. A guy that's 6 foot, about 165 pounds. Can play several positions. Plays quarterback, cornerback, safety, wide receiver, running back, you name it, he's there. I mean, punt return, kickoff return. I mean, I definitely think he's going to be playing some special teams at Alabama, but he's definitely a guy that's probably going to be one of the top players in the state.
Well, good news right there is, seeing a kid turn himself around in a classroom like that when given the opportunity. All right, let's move on to the prospects. We still, again, picked up one more, but now there's 4 or 5 slots left on that board. Correct?
That's right. I mean, space is getting very limited. Another commitment happening, so it's dwindling down a little bit.
So we're going to talk about Ladarius Owens, 6'3", 230-pound outside linebacker, Jess Leonard High School from Bessemer, Alabama. One of our top 10, I believe, in the Tuscaloosa News,
That's
top
right.
50 in the state of Alabama. Now, he visited the Alabama scrimmage on Saturday, I believe. Now, a number of schools still interested in him. Obviously, Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Florida State, Tennessee among them. A lot of offers out there. Talk about it.
Ladarius said he had originally planned to make his decision right before the season started, had narrowed the choices down to Alabama and Auburn, said that he set a commitment date. It was a couple weeks ago. It was going to be on a Friday. Called me on I believe it was a Tuesday night, said that he was just not ready to make his decision, that it was just too tough a decision for him, wanted to take some visits. And, right now he's got an official visit set to Florida State for the first football game of the season when they play Miami. I know he's going to take some other visits as well. Clemson's in the picture, Tennessee's in the picture. Alabama and Auburn are definitely in the picture. But some schools from outside the region are starting to get in the mix. Oklahoma started recruiting him. UCLA started recruiting him. Cal started recruiting him. So he's considering taking some visits out there. Now, he's visited Alabama several times over the last few months.
Sure.
And, being recruited by Coach Sal Sinceri and really has a close relationship with him. Came in Tuscaloosa for the scrimmage this past weekend. Had a great time. Said that he didn't even know he was going to come down until Saturday. Said that he just got in the car and drove down, had a great time, spent some time with the coaches, and enjoyed watching practice. Said that he watched some of the freshmen out there. Said he was really impressed with Tanae Patrick and some of those guys. He said that Fluker was one of the biggest guys he's ever seen before. Of course, I think everybody says that. Sure. But he's still a guy that's going to take some visits. I think he's going to wait until after the season before making a decision now. Visiting some schools, probably take all 5 of his official visits now. But it's hard to say where he's going to go. A lot of people thought it was going to be Auburn, but when he decided to wait on his commitment a little bit, you never know what will happen right now with him. But I think he's wide open.
Could that be a kind of kid that come early February, he hasn't made that decision, and then you're going to find out as a fan on National Signing Day?
He could possibly. I strongly doubt it will happen, but you never know. He may be a guy that.
There's generally a handful of those. There's about 5 or 6.
They're usually last year there were about 12. I know that Alabama was waiting on come signing day, and they got most of those guys. So he's a guy that I think Alabama they're still in the mix for. They still like him. He's still high on their recruiting board, and they're still definitely recruiting him.
Well, another individual we talked about last week was Alfie Hill. He's going to decide in the next 10 days, is what you say, and still between North Carolina, between Alabama, of course from West Brunswick High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. Defensive end, but also really interested in that Bama Jack linebacker position. And you say there's rumors in the North Carolina circuit he's heading towards Tuscaloosa.
Well, there's some people that think that he could be coming down to Alabama, but it's still kind of up in there. I don't know. I can't say where he's going right now. It's tough to say a kid from North Carolina is going to end up going to Alabama when he's grown up a North Carolina fan and he's got defensive coordinator John Blake recruiting him. When he's got guys like that trying to get him to North Carolina and to stay in state, only 3 hours away from his home. It's tough to say he's going to leave the state and go to Alabama, but I know that he had a great time in Tuscaloosa a few weeks ago for the camp. Really hit it off with Coach Sal, and I think he'll possibly end up at Alabama. I mean, he's getting recruited as a jack linebacker at Alabama. He really likes that position a lot, so that he likes that a little bit more than playing that defensive end, because he said he's going to have to add a lot of weight to play that defensive end in college. So he's about, like I said, about 6'4", about 240, 245 pounds, a Scout.com 4-star defensive end, and he said that he will be announcing his decision within the next 10 days. So we should know something here pretty soon.
All right. Let's move into that 2011 class. Those names continue to pop up. Here's a prospect out of Valley High School in Valley, Alabama, another in-state kid. Enrique Florence, a 6'1", 185-pound cornerback. Alabama has an offer out there, as well as Auburn. So talk about this kid a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a kid to keep an eye on this upcoming season. Will definitely be probably one of the top 10 players in the state in the Tide Sports Top 50 next year. And he's a guy that had 10 interceptions as a sophomore. Was an all-state selection. Has offers from Alabama. Has offers from Auburn. Has Georgia Tech, UAB, South Alabama has already offered him as well. And I definitely expect a lot more offers to come his way once September hits. I know that he's very interested in schools like Georgia, Florida, LSU, but I really do think right now it's probably going to be an in-state battle between Alabama and Auburn. I know he really liked Alabama when he came down for the camp, and he said that he's always liked Auburn as well. So I think it's definitely going to come down to an in-state battle between those two schools, and he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on this year.
All right, that wraps it up for some names. Andrew, let's discuss some of those big high school games on the slate this weekend as high school football.
It's so exciting for me as a football recruiting scout to go out on the field and get to watch these games start up. It's very exciting. I know we had the jamborees last week. This week, finally get the real thing. So it's really exciting. This week we got some big games in state and out of state. Prattville's heading over to North Gwinnett High School in Sewanee, Georgia on Saturday night. So that's going to be a good game. Two of the best teams not only in the Southeast but in the country are going to be matching up against each other. You got some big games also in state. You've got Piedmont against Cherokee County up in North Alabama, which is a big rivalry game. You got games in South Alabama that will be Williamson against Viger. That's always a good game. So it's definitely going to be a good week of football action in the state. You got Gadsden City coming down to Tuscaloosa to face Tuscaloosa County. So a lot of great matchups going on.
Absolutely. And what we'll do is we'll keep track of some of those names that are on Alabama's board they're looking at, and maybe next week give some stats and break down how some of those top performers did. Well, Andrew, thanks again for joining us this week. We'll catch you next week on Tide Sports Recruiting Report.